Hello everybody, I am Luka from MiniWarGaming.com and I am very excited to announce that Modifius has sponsored us here to produce a 5 Parsecs from Home campaign for you guys to watch and check out. Now, if you're already familiar with 5 Parsecs from Home and all of its many expansions and variants of the game, you're probably very excited. I'm recording this after playing my first campaign phase. For anyone who may have heard of it or isn't too aware of it, hopefully this video, if you can make it all the way through, it is a little bit of a longer video, so I'm going to try and keep this intro shorter. Check it out. All of the information is going to be in the description down below. There's going to be a link that's going to redirect you to Modifius' website, where you'll be able to get information on the game, and you could purchase the books or look at the books and look at what settings they have available, because they have much more than 5 Parsecs from Home. I am playing the base version of the game, which is a sci-fi traditional adventure game set in their galaxy, though you could change the setting to whatever you want, honestly. This is a miniature agnostic system on top of that, so you can just pick your favorite miniatures to represent your crew and all the enemies, the very many enemies you'll be coming across as you play a campaign. And you don't need to play it solo. You can play with friends. It's a co-op game in that case. Or you can kind of mold it to whatever you need. Obviously, this is written with it oozes passion, and I found that as reading through all the rules, and I fell in love with the game reading the rules. And after I played my first campaign, I'm sold. I can't endorse this game enough. Now there are several ways to generate a crew. If you know any of my content, or if you watch my content, you know that I am just obsessed. I'll use the word obsessed with random effects, and anything that involves the chart, I'm all in, and this game is just loaded with it from start to finish. Now, if you read the rules, do not let them intimidate you. They are really well constructed, and just to play the game, you just start at the beginning and work your way down, and it will procedurally generate everything you need. This game comes very close to emulating a video game role-playing game, except it is a little bit slower because, you have to generate everything on your own instead of it being done digitally for you. But it's worth the effort if you have the time to do it and you want to just take a nice campaign slowly and just try a different approach than just video games. Now, I'm going to go ahead and randomly generate my crew for you guys all at home to see how the process works. There are many other ways to do it. I'm choosing the random method, which means I could just come up with, I might have no humans, I might have all robots, you never know. Let's jump right into it, and then we'll do our first campaign phase. Go through a whole battle, and then the whole post-game sequence to see how our crew advance and what they acquire, and see how the story develops, because it's just all by the dice. And you just kind of try and connect the dots where needed, so let's jump right into it.
We play and call it work.
Crewman number 1, as you can see with the chart over here. I'm very likely to get a baseline human, but we can get something more than that if we roll high. I'll use the D10 with the yellow as the 10s, and then these will be the digits. Hiya! So we got 85. That's a robot. Robots don't really have any backgrounds or personalities or anything like that. They're a freaking robot. So I am going to go ahead and pick a miniature. I'm going to go ahead and name it, and then I'm going to move on to the next crewman. I present Percival, the obvious military grade bot that will be coming along on our adventures. Now, I just printed and had this guy painted just for this video. This is one of the STLs that Modifius offers. Again, all that information is down below in the description. Number 2 crewman, 74. Primary alien, which means we roll again on the chart to see what kind of alien we're dealing with, and that is going to be a 69. That is a precursor. Let me tell everyone I am very, very pleased with this roll. Ain't that just fancy looking? We have ourselves a graceful and refined friend, and I will have you know the precursors have been lingering in the galaxy long before humans even decided to leave caves. Now, because this is a fancy alien, it gets a special rule pertaining to character events. They live long and colorful lives, and they have a lot of past experience to represent that. So they know how to dodge bad circumstances when they come up. And if it does come up in the campaign, I'll show you just how that works. Because the precursor is not a robot, we get to roll for a background, among other things. So, again, more D100s. Luka's favorite. we're looking at 85. Looks like our precursor friend comes from one of their industrial worlds, which means as he joins the crew, he will be bringing along one additional gear. That's just something you get to pick when you finalize the equipment that your crew has. But he's already helping the team. Now we figure out motivation. That is, in the tray only counts 46. Our precursor friend is also a truth seeker. That will give us one rumor to work with in the campaign, in addition to giving us a story point. A simple additive here is, he wants to know what happened to his siblings. He's been looking for a long time. The last thing to roll for the precursor is their class. And that is 35. A primitive class. This one's interesting for precursors because it gives an example in the book on how to mold this one in. This precursor forgo its life of high technology on this industrial world and went on a self-imposed spiritual journey to help him find his siblings, and has forsaken most technology in doing so. Now this will actually increase his characteristics a little bit. He'll have one more speed characteristic, so he can move a lot more in the combat scenarios, and it'll give the crew one more piece of low tech to work with, as this is what this precursor will be bringing with him to the crew. This here is our precursor friend. Since he seems to be on a pilgrimage, we're gonna make him narratively a last minute addition to our crew, offering his services in exchange for, well, traversing around the galaxy, really, is what it's going to be. I don't really know what to name a precursor here, so since he's a last minute addition, we're going to have the captain of this crew, once we figure out who that is, just call him the precursor. We're going to imagine him as a silent addition to our crew. Let's find out who number 3 is. That is 16, that is baseline human, that is quite easy to work with. Let's figure out a little bit more about them. Where did they come from? Where does their experience hail from? Now it looks like they were born and raised on a space station, and they're gonna be bringing some extra gear along with them because of it. Looking for some motivation now. Escape, eh? Classic tale. Looks like this person is on the run from their space station, and we're about to find out from what. That is gonna increase their speed characteristic by 1. Finally, their class. Turns out they were an enforcer on this space station, which means they have some experience with combat and conflict, which means their combat score will go up, and they start this campaign with a patron that they can rely on. But we'll find that out later. I introduce Meredith, our baseline human. We finally got a human for our crew. This is good. This helps us bring our story together a little bit. She is former law enforcement on the run. She has got to vacate the space station that she has spent her entire life on. Our 4th crewman, boop, 85. Well, don't we know that that's a bot? Number 4 is done. We're gonna call this one Arms. Think of it as a really expensive utility knife for a spacefaring vessel, I suppose. Clearly, this ship requires a lot of bots for smooth operations. This model here is from the Steel Spectre line and Ravaged Star. Wanted to showcase that you can kind of use whatever you have available to fill out your crew. Just pick your favorite models, guys, really is all it is. But I also want to show off that Modifius has a lot of prints available as well. Our 5th member, 90. Another robot! We got 3 robots in our crew. I can already kind of see the story coming together. Let's find out what this robot's gonna be, and then let's go ahead and roll up our last crew member. Called the last one Arms, might as well call this one Legs, even though the first one's a little bit more fitting. Just another model from the Steel Spectre line in a different pose. This kind of just represents that we bought 2 of the same bot for the ship here, both of them utility bots. Kind of don't really want another robot. I want one more, I don't know, kind of a human, but I'll take anything I get here. 48, that's baseline human. Okay, nice. Let's find out a little bit more about them, why don't we? Also, a space station. Let's just go ahead and say that this crewman, this baseline human, is going to be from the same space station as our previous one. They might be related. They might have escaped together. We'll see if that's true, though. 15. They are in seek of glory amongst the stars. I think that's easy enough to say that these 2 are going to be siblings, that one is on the run, and the other willingly follows them because they want a little bit more out of their life. And then the last little bit of information about them. What's their class? Oh, that really helps, doesn't it? These all kind of meld together quite nicely. As you can see, that's Explorer. They're going to start with some experience already, as this person has already ventured away from the space station a little bit, but they've eventually always come back as they're just charting out the unknown fringes of space around the space station. So clearly the space station is already at the fringe of the known galaxy, so that's a great start for the narrative here. And they get a little bit more gear as well, because you need to be well equipped for that kind of endeavor. Voila, we have our last member of the crew, and honestly, let's just make him our ship's captain as well. It was going to be him or Meredith, though this guy rolled Explorer, so I figured he has his own vessel already, which the crew is obviously going to use, and he simply just explores the void around the space station that him and Meredith both grew up on. Might as well make them related by blood. Let's go ahead and do brother-sister for them. And that is kind of it. I do have to pick all their war gear, or at least make the models make sense with the war gear they currently have. But let's go take a look at our entire crew. Again, this and all of the other models, other than the 2 bots from the Steel Spectres, are STLs that I simply grabbed, printed, and had painted up for this 5 Parsecs game and the continuation of the series. I should elaborate and say that the STLs are from Modiphius. I wanted to use as much of the models that they have available for this little campaign here. You'll be seeing a few more of them as well as we play a few games, as I've kind of formulated a little bit of a narrative for the missions already. Now, the next step is to roll up your background and determine why your crew are all working together and what their overall motivation together is. But I've kind of come up with a little narrative as I was rolling up all the characters to begin with, and it came together quite nicely, I find. So the idea here is that our captain, Jimothy, is a young-ish explorer, has his own vessel already, which I have to roll up later, and explores the vicinity around the space station, but he's always been ambitious for a little bit more than that, and he just didn't know where to go with it, though. You know, he's just kind of comfortable doing what he's doing now. And then we have Meredith, his younger sister, who is law enforcement, or was law enforcement. I believe in my head here, she got involved with trying to persecute the wrong individuals on the space station, perhaps individuals with a little bit too much power on it, if you catch my drift. She took this issue up to the chain of command, or through the chain of command, and found out that they're also in on it. So with no one to protect her in her occupation, and in fact, now there might be a bounty on her head. In fact, there is definitely a bounty on her head that she caught wind of. She went to her brother for help instead, who is, of course, more than willing to help her out, and sees this as his opportunity to force him to leave the space station and then go explore the stars now, or at least get as far away from here as possible. Now, due to the immediate threat of this entire situation, they got to get out the space station as soon as possible. This doesn't really give Jimothy and Meredith enough time to interview and hire crew for a long void trip through the stars. Usually he just kind of goes and comes back, has very light crew, maybe just a bot here or there to help. So they had to dip into their savings, essentially crippled their savings, to buy maintenance bots to help them out on this journey. And I guess they felt like getting a military grade bot as well. The model's killer. I really wanted to use it. I'm sure you guys understand. So they got a military grade bot as an enforcer bot, perhaps. Now, they would have liked more assistance on the ship. Luckily, or maybe through some divine intervention, we have our precursor approach Jimothy the day they're about to leave, asking for a place to stay on his vessel as they travel through the stars. The precursor is looking to get off the station, and there's no one else really going on a deep space voyage. Somehow caught wind that Jimothy and Meredith were maybe on the run here. They could have had some previous ties, maybe acquaintances perhaps, but in this case, the precursor simply asked for passage in exchange for work. So there we have it. We have our 6 crew here. The precursor obviously on a quest of their own, sort of a pilgrimage in a way to a certain location where there might be information as to where its missing siblings have gone. The precursor unfortunately has been on this quest for quite a long time. It's kind of become their entire life's journey, to say. I guess next, let's equip them, kind of go over what they're equipped with, discuss the ship a little bit, and we'll get right into the game. Changing up the environment here a little bit, we are just about ready ready to start. 2 things left to do. We have to generate their equipment that they start with. Some of their background roles and some of their story elements will give me a few additional roles here. I'll go ahead and do all those off camera and tell you what I get, because it is quite a bit of rolling. It'll eat up a lot of time. And we got to figure out what kind of ship Jimothy actually owns. You better believe it's going to be a D100. The yellows will be the 10s. We got 21. That is a strange alien vessel. Well, Jimothy probably got this for cheap. As you could tell, its debt characteristic is a little bit lower than the other ones nearby. Perhaps the seller just wanted to get rid of it. And Jimothy, being romantic, called it the serendipity. That'll put us in a debt of 1d6 plus 15 credits, 21 credits in debt. It's kind of money owed on the ship, just like real life. Now, to give you a general idea of what debt is, if you don't pay your debt, they come take your ship, and that's mechanics of the game. There's lots of ways to lose your ship. After reading the rules a couple times, you don't want to lose your ship. Losing your ship's not great, but it is an important part of the story if it happens. Let's hopefully we don't get there. Hopefully we eventually pay our debt off, or we don't crash our ship at the very least. I don't know if there's space insurance. 2 more things about the ship. You'll note that this one doesn't have any traits with it like the other ones do. That's good and bad. Not all of the traits are good. The ship is cheap, it's rudimentary, albeit it's a strange alien vessel. It is Jimothy's strange alien vessel, and I'm not going to complain about it too much. You don't need a model for your ship. That's the second part here. You can if you want to, if you're determined enough. It's mostly a base of operations that your crew go to during the campaign phase, after your battles, before your battles, kind of whenever the game tells you to. It's where you can have like med bays, extra storage there. You kind of get the idea. It starts small, but it can work its way quite large. It is a very important piece of the campaign that you can just completely lose all your storage. You're stranded where you are. You have to figure out how to get another one. And the game covers all of that too. Those are all ways to get out of those situations, which I am just very impressed with. But to do all that, we need to actually go to a campaign phase and start this bad boy. So let's go through that together. Also, forgot to mention, I have all their war gear picked and divvied out. I'll go through what all those pieces are and what they do as we actually play the battle element of the campaign phase. Welcome to the campaign phase. I will try to go through as much of the pertinent information as I can while explaining the great details that 5 Parsecs from Home offers you as the player. Now, our crew immediately evacuated the system they were in with that space station. They didn't want to be anywhere near there. Too much heat. This could be a reoccurring thing in the campaign, by the way. You can accrue a lot of rivals in whatever system you're in, to the point where it's just so unwieldy you just want to leave and go to another system, or you can decide to stick around and scrap with them. Now, for our campaign, we're going to the nearest system that has one of our patrons on it, because we rolled up a patron in our crew generation, so that's where this patron is going to be. We call it the Carsa system. I just kind of came up with this name, and Carsa 2 in particular will have a colony on it. It's mostly inhabited. The only downside to Carsa 2 is that it's currently under a civil war. Not a big enough one to deter a crew from wanting to come to this planet, though, or this system in general. Now, when you travel to a new planet, you have to pay for your ships or your crew's maintenance, and your ship's maintenance, or your crew's wages, I should say. In this case, we really only have our siblings and the bots and the precursor, who's like working for free. No, that's more narrative. Mechanically, you still have to pay for your crew. And when it comes to bots, you're kind of paying for, maintenance on the bots, or new parts, or whatever you want to imagine. To handle all that, you determine if you want to pay for the debt on your ship. In this case, we have other bigger problems, so we're gonna just accrue more debt on our ship. It only goes up by 1 every campaign phase. Unless you have a rather large debt on it, then it gets, the interest adds up to the point where they just come and repossess your ship. Right now, debt's not too bad. We're just going to go up by 1 credit on our debt. That'll put us at 22 debt. The interest only really goes up to 2 credits campaign phase when we're at 31. So we have a lot of time to worry about it. We got more pressing concerns. Now, most ship crews or builds you're going to make in 5 Parsecs from Home will naturally be like a mercenary company. Obviously, Jimothy and Meredith need to come up with some way to make credits. Now, first of all, Jimothy has bold ambitions, and Meredith simply just wants to get away from that space station. But they still gotta work. So they're gonna take on whatever kind of work they can. Now they have a ship, they have a crew, they can do some pretty heavy jobs, essentially alluding to mercenary work. It doesn't have to always be fighting, you know, it could be exploring, it could be many other things. But in this case, we're gonna find whatever work we can. And we have a patron on this planet. We haven't figured out what the patron is yet. I still have to roll that up. The next step here is to see if this planet actually has a license or requires a license to work as essentially a mercenary. Now, luckily, Jimothy rolled up a sector license, which is when you generate your items. It's just one of the things you can get. It's a utility item. That might be the wrong mechanical term for it, but that doesn't really matter. It allows you to work in the sector on the D6 roll of a 4 up if that planet requires a permit to begin with. Luckily, Karsa 2 does not require a permit. Again, another roll. In fact, everything I'm saying is essentially a randomly generated fact. And say we're on Karsa 2 and we just like accrue a horrible reputation and we gotta leave. You can come back to Karsa 2 later on in your campaign. You just have to note down all the traits of the planets and what it might entail and how many rivals you have there. They might follow you, by the way, or they just stick there. But if you go back to the planet later, you suffer all of the things that were going on that planet before, though the campaign might change that up as well. I do want to elaborate a little bit on the random nature of this game. It's not an unwieldy process. It is so easy and well thought out. The book is so well formatted. You're never really jumping back and forth too much unless you may have forgotten a trait on a weapon you want to look up. But as you start a campaign phase, you just start top, work your way down, and you just do what it says. Roll if the planet requires roll if the planet requires a license. Roll to see what traits this planet has, and then you just kind of do what it says. You just work your way down the process. So the next step for my crew is to kind of scatter and just find work or do anything. There's a long list of tasks you can send your crew on, and they're gonna come back with whatever random results you sent them on. These tasks range from finding a patron, simply someone to work for, which makes sense at the start of a campaign. That's what I'm gonna be focusing on doing. You can trade to buy more, just an assortment of equipment. You can explore the planet, or you can go training, just gain experience on your characters. One thing to note, that bots never gain experience. The way you advance bots in your campaign is buying them new equipment or new pieces or new parts to them. So we're gonna keep our bots on the ship. Percival, arms and legs, they're all hanging out there. They're maintaining the ship and they're guarding the ship. There are bad things that can happen by always sending your crew to do things, as much as there are good things. Who we will send, though, is our precursor, is going to explore the planet. That's what he wants to do. And Meredith and Jimothy are going to go find the patron that they came to this planet for to begin with. We started the campaign with one patron on this world, and that's kind of the reason why we went to Karsa 2, to begin with, to see if that's like the loosest connection they had to some line of work. So luckily, they both go, and we do succeed on our roll. We found our patron. There's a chance to find more than one patron. If you do, the first job you find is for the patron you knew. If you already knew one, if not, you get another random job from another random patron, luckily enough. You simply do a roll, you add the amount of crew members that you sent on this, you can send up to 2, and then you can, if you already have a patron on this world, you get an extra modifier for each patron you have, and then you can spend credits to just get more information or to try and find someone looking for work. It's kind of easy to find a patron. In this case, I simply rolled a 4, which was all the modifiers, enough to find a patron. You have to roll a 5. So we found our corporate friend. Because we already had a patron, that's one we go for. Luckily, he responded back. That's great, and he found a job for us. Working for a corporation is great. They always offer danger pay. Now, in this case, this corporation only offers 1 credit for danger pay, but hopefully the job's not that dangerous. But I am given 3 campaign turns to finish it. It's anywhere between this one, the following one, or 3, or any time. In this case, I have a pretty gracious period to finish it. Now, unfortunately, it is a hot job, which means I have a chance of accruing an enemy at the end of it on the D6 roll of a 1 or a 2. It's normally just a 1, which means that other people from other corporations are probably also hiring mercenaries to accomplish it. Now, we did roll some additional benefits here. This patron, our old friend, does have some pretty strong connections. So if I'm able to accomplish this job, they will be able to offer me a game mechanic called Rumors. Rumors, when you build up Rumors, offer you game quests. In 5 parsecs, you have jobs you're accomplishing and quests you're accomplishing. One kind of fills out more of a narrative, whereas the other one is simply a job that you get paid credits for. Now, seeing as our friend was kind enough to put himself out there and offer us a job for his corporation and give us a good early step into this next chapter of our lives, I think it's only fair that we pursue this job and see it to its conclusion. We don't want to be that guy. You know, we don't want to get a job and then something else pops up. We just completely drop that job and go do that instead. No. We have some integrity. We're going to finish this job. Let's go figure out what that job is, and we'll worry about the quest next campaign phase, I think. Unless a better job pops up, I suppose. But we never know. That's the beauty of the game. Well, we're here. This is where the boss told us to go. Let's not forget that this is a world currently under the effects of a civil war. So we were told to go investigate an area that a battle resolved in a few weeks ago. And it's pretty much a whole bombed out facility. And we simply just need to scout out the area. He just needs some people to go in, check out what's going on, and report back. Our mission is easy. We're going to deploy on one side of the board, and we need to get 2 of our models off the other side of the board. Unfortunately for the crew here, they don't know they're about to walk into an ambush. I know that as the player, because I, again, randomly generated everything you're about to see. I do want to go over the war gear a little bit here. You can choose to not bring all of your crew in case there are some you don't want to risk. Death is a possibility, of course, in these kind of games. In fact, it happens, because sometimes your crews could just die off and you need to hire new members, or else you're running around on your own. I want to briefly go over the equipment everyone has here. As I mentioned, I'd get around to this eventually. Jimothy has a boarding shotgun, a boarding saber as a melee weapon, as well as a concealed blade, and he is equipped with a hazard suit, which won't be relevant in this mission, but it might be in future ones. I'll go into the details about what the equipment does when it becomes relevant. All of this stuff was randomly generated before we even started the campaign. You get to roll on a bunch of low-tech, military-grade, high-tech sometimes, and then you just get like a bunch of gear and things like that based on the backgrounds and motivations of some of the characters. Meredith has a scrap pistol and actually quite a nice weapon holstered on her back is an infantry laser. It's quite a effectively a long-range laser rifle. She also has a concealed blade, like her brother. Our precursor friend in the back simply has a military rifle. Obviously, we're bringing Percival along with us. He is a military bot. He has his right arm will count as a shotgun, and his left arm will count as a shatter axe, for anyone who's more familiar with the game. Effectively, good range weapon that is effective in close range as it bursts out rounds, I suppose. And his claw will be a nasty melee weapon that can do up to 2 damage. He also has a scanner bot system upgrade. Anyone could have a scanner bot, but I chose to give it to him. I just felt relevant for the military bot to have a scanner bot. This will give me a bonus to a seize the initiative roll, which will be coming up very shortly. As for our support bots, arms and legs, we had 1 extra colony rifle, which is a very rudimentary rifle, all things considered, only 18-inch range. We're going to give it to arms. We'll say that he has little tiny guns built into his arms that just kind of pop out and take shots here and there for now. And legs is not fit with anything of the sort. He will simply be running around the battlefield, trying to get off the other edge and scan the area. He can't really defend. He can obviously defend himself, but he doesn't have any war gear to help. Not a whole lot of armor as the campaign begins. It's something you have to randomly roll, or you could choose the trade action and go purchase some, but I didn't quite to do that. I wanted to focus on getting a job and exploring the planet a little bit. Now, the bots come with 6-up save built in, but no one else has any. For now, hopefully we'll get some. We are deployed and ready to start this battle. Now, 5 Parsecs recommends anywhere from 2-foot by 2-foot tables to 3-foot by 3-foot. I'm simply starting this off with 2-foot by 2-foot to see how I like it. I will be trying out the other elements as well to see which one I prefer in the end, honestly. And you can kind of gauge it by the scenario you're playing and what the goal is and adjust for that. Like I mentioned, this is a old bombed out facility struck during the Civil War, and the corporation hired us to scout out this area and see if there's anyone squatting here or what's going on. We weren't really told too many details, simply just figure out what is going on there. So we have to get from this side of the battlefield to this side of the battlefield. We got to get off the board here. And we have some enemies that were making a bunch of ruckus. I shouldn't use the word ambush because they're not quite ambushing us. We're aware of their presence and they're aware of ours in this specific scenario. So we kind of caught wind of them. Maybe one of their scouts seen us, and a firefight's about to break out here. We were simply told to scout this area out. Now, this 2 foot by 2 foot area, I've garnished the rest of the table to represent that there's a lot more to it than just this area. This is where we're going to engage one another, though. And you can kind of just imagine that we scouted out all the way from over there to here, and then this is where we found our enemy. And the goal is to get 2 of my models off of the board edge. I can also choose to eliminate the enemy completely, but I have to have 2 models left on the board to count it as a success. Now, it turns out what we're encountering here is a para-religious group of fanatics. So I hope you guys can understand the models I chose to use to represent them. Again, this is all randomly rolled, so these are cultists. These are criminal elements. Kind of roll on a table to determine what you're up against. Interested parties, roving threats. In this case, we have criminal elements, and then you roll on a further chart, and it turns out they're cultists. We have 8 of them. We are playing on a more challenging difficulty. For myself, I won't go into the details of it, but I'm often going to encounter more groups of enemies than you typically would on an easier difficulty. Like a video game, I think there's like 5 different difficulties to 5 parsecs that you can kind of choose to play with. And I went with just a slightly more than the normal one. Only by a little bit. It just means it spawns more enemies. It doesn't change any other game elements. We have 8 cultists here. The way it mechanically works, if anyone's interested, you roll 2d6, take the highest result, and that's how many enemies you're facing, and then there will be a modifier on that roll. In this case, cultists are +2. So I have 8 enemies here. And for every grouping of 4, there is a lieutenant. In this case, we have a lieutenant here with a shotgun and a little blade. And then this lieutenant has a ripper sword and a handgun. The remaining cultists on this side, we have 3 dudes with handguns, so there's 2 there, and then 1 with a rifle, and then 2 rifles and a handgun. So it's just like a split of 3 each. And they are an aggressive type of enemy, so they follow the aggressive AI movement. So they're going to be trying to push to me and engage me, as opposed to taking up a defensive position here. So it turns out this little group of religious zealots set up some sort of hideout or camp here, and we're gonna root them out, or at least escape the battlefield and inform the corporation of what's here, because that's kind of the goal. There's also a good chance that this group of cultists, this para-religious group, will consider me a rival after this mission. So that'll be fun. Already building a reputation. The first thing we do before we get to the proper battle round is to seize the initiative. It is something the player's crew could do at the start of most battles, as far as I could tell. I'm sure there's some options where that gets changed up against certain types of enemies, is I roll to see if the enemy is aware of me. So when I said that they're aware of me coming because of scouts and I'm aware of them because of the noise they're making, that's actually not true yet. I have to do this roll first. So I am going to roll 2d6 and I want to get to 10. There are some modifiers in play here. There are many modifiers in the game in general, but the relevant ones are: you add the highest savvy characteristic of any one of your models in your crew. In this case, my bots have a savvy of 2. So they're able to scan the area or be made aware of what might be nearby and alert the rest of the crew as to what's going on. My actual bot here, my big guy Percival, has a actual scanner bot built into him. So he adds 1 to the roll. And the enemy outnumber me, which is another modifier. So I'll be adding 3 to this roll. I need a 7 on the dice. Oh, I only seen the 1 first. So I actually do get to seize the initiative. What this means is they're not quite aware that we're approaching them. And if I had shots on them, which I don't, I would be able to do a shoot action or a move action with every member of my crew. So in this case, we're all going to do a move action. So we're going to reposition some of them, and I'll show you where they end up. And then we go to the proper battle round. Now we had the Precursor, who actually moves 6. He's the fastest in our team. Just zoomed over here so we get some shots on the cultist down that way if it lines up on initiative. Meredith moving 5, a little bit slower, taking up the same position, same idea. Percival just stomping his way over here. And then we have Arms and Legs are going to try and hide behind some cover. We do have Arms out front with his colony rifle. And then Jimothy vaults over the wall and takes a prone, not that there is a prone mechanic, but I like to imagine he's kind of prone in the rubble, eyeing up some of the cultists with his shotgun. And then we're going to roll up some initiatives here. The way it works is I am going to roll a die for every model in my crew here. They all have a reaction characteristic, and this is going to determine how quickly they get to act in this first battle round. I have 6 crew, so I'm going to roll these 6 little dice. If I roll, well, I guess I get to show it first. So I take these dice and I assign them to my crew members. So I got a 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 6. For reaction rolls, you want to roll low. Each member of your crew has a reaction characteristic. If you assign them a die that is equal, I guess in this case I'll give him a 2, that is equal to or under their reactive score, they get to act in the quick activation step. And then if it's above their characteristic, they act in the slow step. Enemies act in the enemy step. So it goes quick step, enemy step, slow step. If you're acting in the quick step, you can forego acting in it to like snap shoot, essentially go on Overwatch and watch a corridor. So if an enemy makes himself available, you could shoot at them during that activation. If you at least stun them, which I'll explain later, like essentially cause a hit that doesn't wound them or kill them, then if you stun them, you kind of forego your shooting in the slow step, but if you don't accomplish anything with your snapfire, you can act normally later. I'm going to assign a 1 to Meredith, a 2 to the bot here, I think. Or no, I'll go 2. We're going to give Arms a 2, I think, because he actually has a colony rifle. To essentially summarize, most things have a reflex characteristic of 1. The bots have 2. And I think the Precursor might have a higher one, actually. No, he's just physically faster as he moves on the battlefield, not so reactive. So there's no reason to mark them because I know they're going to be acting later. We're going to go ahead and activate Meredith first in the quick step. I'm going to activate both of them in the quick step, actually, because they have some potential to take shots at the enemies. Why wait for them when I could take the initiative myself? However, Meredith doesn't have great line of sight to the enemies here. So she is going to have to move. She's not quite as fast as the Precursor who got to a better position, but her moving over here with a move action is simply enough for her to see over, this was blocking her before, to see over this to take a shot at that cultist with a handgun. She's going to go ahead and pull out her infantry laser and take a shot. Now, for anyone curious how actions in this game work, every model gets 2 actions. Well, they must do a move action before they do a combat action. The combat action being a shot or, fighting in a brawl with an enemy, a lot more personal. And you must do them in that order, strictly that order, move and then combat. You cannot reverse them. There are also free actions in the game. You might catch me calling them quick actions. Here and there, I use those interchangeably. I apologize. It's a force of habit sometimes. You may use a free action to use a consumable or something like that. In this case, I do have 1 consumable in my stash that any member of the crew can use. Precursor, Meredith, or Jimothy. Only the bots cannot benefit from the consumable I have. It's booster pills, which will be relevant later, I'm sure, and I'll go over into details of what they do. Now, the combat action is simple. You pick your target, you measure your range. The infantry laser has a very impressive 30-inch range on the shot, so we know we're in range already. We're about 17 inches away. The next thing you need to know is the enemy within 6 inches? Obviously, no. It is much easier to hit an enemy within 6. It's not half the range of the weapon or anything like that. It is simply within 6. Then you have to check to see if the enemy is in cover. Yes, the enemy is definitely in cover. So the enemy is beyond 6 inches. The enemy is also within cover. I need a 6 to hit. So I roll a d6 and add Meredith's combat score of 1 because she has some training as law enforcement in her past life, which was only a couple months ago. And I need a 5 up to hit. That is simply it. I missed. Due to the range, due to the cover, it's really up to you. That is her activation. She's done. The next quick step is Arms. Now, Arms, I'm going to double check his line of sight, but I do need to get to this board edge over here. So we are going to probably creep up to the enemy anyways. We're going to go move 4 inches to behind this wooden wall, this wooden fence, and hopefully that'll provide some cover I need. And we have a colony rifle, which I know is 18-inch range. So we're going to go ahead and do that shot at this cultist out in the open. He's not benefiting from any cover. However, He is more than 6 inches away. So we are going to need a 5 to hit him. I'm just going to go double check. Arms doesn't have any combat score. I'm almost certain he doesn't. Oh, very good. All bots have a combat of +1 to start with. So I need a 4 to hit with this colony rifle. Crack! We got a hit. Good job, Arms. Now we roll to see if it damages the enemy. All the cultists here have a toughness of 3 as their characteristic. So we need to equal or exceed that toughness to do a damage to them. Otherwise, they're fine and they just gain a stun marker representing a little bit of the battle shock of being shot at or so closely being shot at or suffering a minor superficial flesh wound maybe. Toughness 3. Now, unfortunately, the damage characteristic of the colony rifle is only 0. So we add nothing to this roll. We need a 3 up. Oh, that's a 6. 6s will always work as well. These cultists do not have any armor, so that cultist took a mortal injury and is done for this combat. That is it for the quick action step. We go to the enemy actions now. The cultists are an aggressive enemy type, so they follow like a loose AI, and there's many different enemy types. And don't worry, the game goes into great details about how they all work, as long as you take it nice and slow and read the entire process. They will always, if they have line of sight to an enemy, they will advance at least half of their movement towards them at all times. They're simply movement 4, so they can go, they're 4 full inches. They're going to try to claim cover as well if they can. They're not so aggressive that they'll abandon a tactical advantage, but they do want to engage the enemy. They'll only engage the enemy in combat, close quarters combat, sorry, hand-to-hand combat, if their fight score is equal to or better than the enemy, because they're not idiotic either. So they're not going to go and charge into a bot, because the bot is, physically much stronger than they are. They will simply try to fire at it with their weapons. But the cultists will act in an order of closest to me, essentially. So this one will go first. It's going to move up to the cover here and take a shot with its rifle at Arms. And hopefully Arms is fine. All of them are just equipped with colony rifles. Shouldn't be too relevant here because we're really tight with this large ruin kind of forcing us to fight around it. So he has combat score 0. We're going to get no modifiers here. So we're firing at a target 7.5 inches away. So Arms is nice and safe behind his cover. This guy needs a 6 to hit him. Arms is fine. Everyone can cheer. This cultist will go next. He's got a handgun. And we are going to go ahead and take another shot at Arms. Handgun 12-inch range. So we got the range for it, but it's going to be a 6 to hit Arms. He's protected by the cover specifically there. There's ricochets off the wooden fence, and our friendly robot has no problems at all. Let's go ahead and resolve this cultist with a handgun. He is going to vault over this wall and just take up a position. Oh, models can see 360, by the way, if anyone was curious about that. He's going to take up a position here, line up against the wall, and try and shoot at our precursor friend. He's actually not going to shoot at him at all. He's about 14 inches away. So they are going to try to advance towards... I wonder, he would have gone that way then. No, I guess he would have gone towards that one. Sometimes it's kind of like up to you to decide what everything is best. There's something you could do called rushing. So you add 2 to your movement characteristic and you forego combat. So he's got nothing to really attack, so he'll add an extra 2 and hang out behind the crook of that wall there. The next cultist with a handgun won't be able to get a shot from this position here, so he's also going to rush up to this wall and get some cover there. Our first lieutenant with the mutation here is going to move up to this cover here and take a handgun shot at our little friendly robot. Now it is a lieutenant. They are combat skill 1, so I actually need a 5 to hit Arms. It didn't matter the cover again. That wooden fence has been money. Our second lieutenant friend does have enemies in line of sight, but again, he's got a shotgun, so it's only 12-inch range. I want him to be a little bit sneakier. He's going to creep up. I think he's going to advance up this way, because otherwise he's going to go out in the open. And I want him, I guess he could go behind this guy. He could advance up to here and try and creep up alongside him with the wall. And then our last cultist is going to go. He does have a colony rifle, so he's going to move up to this point and take a shot at Arms. I'll double check. I might go for over here, but I think Arms is the better target. Yeah, I'll go for Arms on him. We know he needs a 6 to hit. He's got combat of 0. Oh, there. You know what? Keep him flat. There we go. I think... Like, again, the idea is this is like AI controlling it, but if you try to try and win with them, right? That's the goal. You want to try and win with them, following the AI as much as you can, because you do want it to be a challenge. Though I suppose it's really up to you how easy you want it to make, or how easy you want to make it. That's it for the enemy actions. They're all resolved. I'm going to keep the bodies on the ground. They're not like dead, but they're obviously too injured to continue the fight, a little stunned, a little incapacitated. I like to see where enemies and allies fall on the battlefield to at least remember like the opening shot from arms. You know, I don't want to forget that. Now I gotta pick what I want to do with my guys. They're a little bit more free to act. I think we're gonna go with the Precursor. We're gonna forego moving to use an aim action. It allows us to reroll hit rolls of 1. He has a military rifle, which is simply a colony rifle that can shoot 24 instead of 18. We're gonna take a shot at the nearest cultist creeping up to us. He's outside of 6. He is gonna be in cover, so that means we're gonna need a 6. On the die. However, the Precursor actually might have combat skill +1. He does not. Let's see a 6. Oh! Very close. Next up, Percival is going to move. Stomp, 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 stomp. He moves to 4 to there. I'm going to see if he can take a shot. I'm pretty sure he's got a good clean shot on that guy there with his shotgun arm. Yeah, he's got that size advantage. You can definitely see this guy here with that shotgun. And we're outside of 6, but this guy does not have cover, which is kind of nice. So we need a 5 to hit him as a default. Obviously, the Percival has combat skill of 1, so we need a 4 to hit. Shotguns have 2 shots. Now, normally you can roll them 1 at a time to try and take out an enemy nearby. Say you had like an AR that had more than 1 shot. Now, in the case of shotguns, they have the focus trait, so you always have to put them on the same target. So we might as well just try and blow away our cultist friend right in front of us, needing 4s after all the modifiers. Okay, those are both gonna hit. Shotguns are damage 1. We are gonna go ahead and need a... Damn, he rolled 2 2s there. So that's actually 2 stun markers on him. The shotgun mostly just blows away the terrain a little bit as the guy is like ducking down beneath it, but he's pretty pinned down. So when you have stun markers, it really limits your combat capabilities. And if you ever have 3 or more stun markers on you at once, you are knocked out and taken out of the battle. We'll go ahead and use the red dice to represent stun markers. 2 of them. I know that looks like a 3. I apologize. These dice, I don't use them often. You know what? I got little yellow ones. Might as well use that. Let's go with Jimothy over here. He also has a combat shotgun. I definitely want to put pressure with him. Only movement 4. This will be difficult terrain. So it'll be a little bit high. It's like a 2 to 1 to move over. So we're going to move up and around it. I've already measured it. He's actually going to go out in the open here. To take a shot at this cultist there, because I got a shotgun. I want to be putting pressure on that guy as we move up the board. We got a combat of 1 on Jimothy, so we need 5s. Oh, he does get a hit. That's really nice. And so, nice thing getting a hit is you know you're going to get a stun marker no matter what, which will impact the battle. So as long as you get hits, which are hard to get, you'll have some effect. Now it is another one. 2s. It's 2s with shotguns to take these guys out. However, he does get that stun marker. And then we have Legs can activate, but I don't know. Legs doesn't have any weapons or anything. But he is a combat score +1 robot, so he could probably get something going here. So we're just going to move him to here for now. And that'll be it for his activation. He has no ranged attacks. Don't worry, we'll get guns for everyone soon. There's a very long campaign to play. That is it for the slow activations. That is the end of the round. Now we have to do morale. Only the enemy factions have to suffer morale. You, as the player of the campaign, get to choose when your models leave. So say this goes like really bad over there. To save face, these guys could just leave the battlefield whenever they want. They can leave on any battlefield edge, but once you commit them to leaving the battlefield edge, they are not coming back. Though there are post-game repercussions to all decisions you make. There is an extensive post-game after this as well, I should clarify, so stick around for that. We're going to roll morale. So you roll 1d6 for every enemy that was taken out in that round, and then for every number that matches their morale score, 1 model will flee, other than the lieutenants. The lieutenants will never flee. They'll fight to the bitter end. They are cultists, though. They're a little full of zeal. They only run on 1s. But I've been rolling 1s. Aha! So the cultist nearest their battlefield edge decides to leave the battle. That's not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. And then we go to round 2, which is pretty much everything I just did. Minus the CZ initiative. That's only the initial time you get to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and roll my 6th initiative dice again, or reaction dice. This is a neat game. I am honestly having a lot of fun. Oh my gosh, it's fast time. Everyone's got the fast legs today. Actually, that means all my bots can activate in the quick step, and then 1 character of my choice. So that's definitely going to go to Jimothy, because he can keep pushing up and try and blast away a cultist. And then all the bots with the reaction score 2 can activate in the quick step. That's a great roll. Oh my gosh. And then these two guys go later. They're in a great position to go later too, so I couldn't be happier with that outcome. Also, should note, at the end of every second battle round you play, not including the 6th and beyond, so 2 and 4, there is a random battlefield effect that'll take place. It's a D100 chart. We have no idea what it's going to be. That is an optional rule that I am, of course, going to be using in my campaign games. But the shotguns reign free. Jimothy will start this off. He'll move up to the wall. And we are just going to take a couple shots at the stunned cultist in front of us. Actually, he's got his head down. Let's go for this cultist over here. I'll double check the line of sight. This thing's actually kind of big. Yeah, there's not really any line of sight there. You have to have, you pretty much for line of sight in this game, you have to be able to see the body of the enemy. Not really like the head, arms, or legs. You guys get the idea. You can impose whatever line of sight rules you really want on your own games. If anyone watches my content, I have really strict self-imposed rules. I like to have a good shot at the enemy before I take it. We'll go for the cultist with a stun marker and see what we can get. I believe we're in 6 now. We are just. However, he does have cover, so we still need 5s to hit, but we have a combat score of 1, so we know we need 4s. Couple of hits on him. That should actually just kill him because they go to stun markers, but let's just see if we blow him away into space dust with this cool space shotgun. Oh yeah, dead. Get out of here. Bang, bang. Good job, Jimothy. This is aggressive. We might as well bring it over to Percival here. I was thinking about moving him over, aggressively take some shots because he's got that cool claw. However, you can't shoot through your own models, and this thing's going to block line of sight, so I think Percival is just going to block their 2 shots. And he's more than happy just to sit here, aim, and we're going to take a shot at just the guy in front of us. Again, you can't see that guy. That guy's probably blocked by the wall, so that dude it is. Even though he's stunned, we just don't want him here anymore. We do get to reroll 1s because we aimed. Excellent. That still does miss. He's not in cover, but he's over 6. We need 5s, but we're combat score +1. That is going to hit. And a lot of 1s, however, that does put him up to 3 stun counters. I just have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that guy is just, he passes out from all the shock. You know, there's a lot going on here. That definitely knocks him out. He is out of here. Well, that's pretty good for me. That's 2 enemies taken out this round already. In fact, I am going to remove them because I always forget that when I do leave things on the board, it does kind of muddy up the battlefield a little bit and blocks models. Now, there is one little rule I did forget is when you do stun an enemy by attacking them, they get knocked back an inch unless terrain or another model's in the way. That would have been more relevant over there, but I'll remember that for the future. That's more for our new players who aren't really familiar with the rules, something to keep in mind. And really, we're only left with arms. We got arms and legs can go. Arms is going to... he's going to vault over this and approach the enemy, actually, to make room for legs to come in. So he is going to go to about there, and he's going to take a shot with his colony rifle at this guy. Now, he's going to have cover from the wall, and he's over 6. So we need a 5 because we're a robot. We did not aim. Let's go ahead with legs. We're going to rush him because he doesn't have a gun. So he'll go 4 to there, and then 2 to get over to here. Boom. I didn't want to go through that because that's difficult terrain. By the way, walls and fences and everything don't slow you down if they're that size. You just kind of pop over them. And then we go to enemy moves. Now, these guys have a combat score of 1. The cultists will not engage them willingly. They'd rather shoot them. However, the lieutenants are combat skill 1, so they're willing to actually charge into the enemy. This one's close. He's got a handgun. He is just going to move up to here and take a shot. Unfortunately, arms is within 6 and in the open. This is a hit on a 3. Ooh, arms got hit. Now, handguns are damage 0 and bots are toughness 4. So we need a 4 up to take out arms. Oh no! He hit a critical location and arms is removed. That is that. That's how quickly your crew can go down. And then we're going to have this lieutenant activate. And we're going to approach arms there and take a shot with our handgun. Same idea. Oh, we definitely hit. Uh-oh. And there goes legs as well. Arms and legs just both taken out in one round out of nowhere. It's a brutal game. But wait, they're robots. They automatically come with a 6-up save. So we'll do arms first. And legs. Legs is back, but he has a stun marker. All is well for our robot friend. We have these 2 to continue activating. This guy is going to move 4 and just shotgun Percival. Let's see if this works out for him. A couple of shots with an extra combat score. He is in cover, so you need 5s normally, so 4s will work here. Oh man, why am I rolling so well against myself as well? All right, so poor Percival's hit a couple of times. He looks much larger than arms and legs, but he's effectively the same stats as they are. And we need 3s to hurt him because it's a shotgun. Damn. Okay, robot saves. No, Percival is removed. Now this cultist is going to activate. Where does he want to go? Because of this piece of terrain, we actually don't have line of sight to Meredith or the precursor, so we're going to go for legs there. He won't leave the cover he's in. He'll go... No, because then this person will block line of sight, that lieutenant. So he'll stay where he is, and he'll just take a shot with his handgun into legs. We hit legs, unfortunately. We wound legs, unfortunately. I gotta get... These are... Can I roll another 6? Oh, there goes legs. Okay. Oh, well, this went south fast. We get the slow activations. So we got these 2. Okay, we're gonna have the precursor's gonna go. He's gonna aim and take a shot at our lieutenant here, who does need a 6 to hit with a reroll of 1. This is bad. Oh. I guess Meredith will go and do the same thing. She'll aim at him, but she has a better combat score, so she needs a 5 on the dice. Reroll a 1. Oh, it hit! Yes! Luckily, we'll stun him. There is no damage on this, so we're looking to roll, not that, 3 toughness on the lieutenant there, so he is stunned. And he does get knocked back an inch. That's going to bring us to morale for the cultists. They lost 2 models this turn. I could really use some 1s. Come on, 1s. Oh, yes, one of them runs away. This one is closest to their battlefield edge, so we're going to make this a more fair fight between Jimothy and the lieutenant. Then, like I said earlier, this is the end of the second round. We're going to roll a D100 to see what happens here. The yellows will be the 10s. 56. Sorry, you guys can't really see that. I got excited. That is an environmental hazard. I am going to select one of these 2 random ruins, and there'll either be some random munition that didn't go off when it struck the ruin, or simply some canister under pressure that just cracked and broke on a 4-up. Nope, it's this one. So any enemy unit within an inch of it or within it suffers the effect of the environmental hazard. So that will be our lieutenant here. He is going to roll a d6. Now, on a 4-up, he will avoid it and not be affected by it. Otherwise, he'll breathe it in and potentially die. Characters in your crew roll a d6 plus savvy and need to roll a 5-up. Good luck, Mr. Lieutenant! He is not okay. He's going to take a damage hit at +1, so we're going to add 1 to this roll against his toughness. Oh, actually, that'll do it. He's only toughness 3. That will take out the lieutenant. It does ignore all saves. He just kind of dies to some horrible gas that comes out of this. This happens at the end of the second round, so that won't contribute to morale in round 3. But you know what? This is a roller coaster of emotions as I feel like the balance of power is back in my favor. Both Meredith and the precursor can push up and try and flank the enemies here, while Jimothy just kind of holds his position of cover, just blasting them with a shotgun. All right, as we go to round 3, I do have to remember I need at least 2 characters to stay alive. Now, Jimothy's probably going to be okay. He does have a characteristic called luck. Only your ship leader or the captain of your crew gets that characteristic. It's essentially a wound, like an additional wound they could take. But it does some cool things as well. We're going to roll our initiatives now. Or reactions, I should say. Well, none of that's relevant. That's a great roll. For some circumstances, not this one. All my guys are moving last. In fact, the enemies go first. The lieutenant here is just going to push right up towards Jimothy with a ripper sword and handgun. Handgun, it does hit Jimothy. All right, well, maybe it doesn't hurt him. Oh, it definitely hurts Jimothy. So that luck mechanic I just talked about, let's just go ahead and see how that, well, I know how this works. So you give up the luck automatically, and it represents him just kind of like some sixth sense comes in. He knew this shot was coming for him, and he ducks and he rolls away from the danger. So I am going to roll a d6 and a scatter, and that is the position he's going to be in, and he does not take the wound. But I have to see if he takes a stun marker. Now for scattering, the game recommends using a d10. Obviously you go towards the point, so like if I was to scatter, I'd run that way. to where it directs. You could also use a scatter die. It recommends. It says you can do whatever means you want to randomize it. The D10 is an example used because the game already requires D10s to play the game, and I'll simply just use the D10. Boom. So we're going to go 3 inches that away. Tuck and roll, Jimothy. Tuck and roll. So he will be over there. He has no luck left. Luck is replenished after every battle, so we can get that back later. There was a chance if I could have scattered towards the lieutenant, I could have done something very cool. However, I'm still happy with this. And then, this guy doesn't have line of sight to anyone, so the nearest enemies are going to be Meredith and the Precursor. He is going to advance towards this terrain, rush towards it, I mean. And all of my characters can act. Meredith is going to, I don't want to, it's so scary. Though her infantry laser does have a trait called Snapshot. If you get within 6 of the enemy, you actually get a +1 to hit modifier. So she's movement 5. She's going to vault over this wall, get danger close to this guy. In fact, she's going to get, I think if you get within 1 inch of the terrain that this guy is using, you get to ignore the terrain as well. Yes, that is the case, and because of her movement speed increase, that will allow, otherwise she'd be back here, not within 1 inch of it. So she's going to go there, and she's going to snap fire her infantry laser at this guy. So we need effectively just a 3 to hit him, because we're ignoring the cover. He's in the open. And we get +1 to hit because of combat, and +1 to hit because of the infantry laser. So 2. Aha! We hit him. So we know we're going to at least stun him. We need a 3 to kill, though. Oh, yeah. Get off my table. Scum. Our friend the Precursor moves 6. He definitely doesn't have any targets, so we're going to rush him as well. He'll actually get to move 8 inches to there. Just getting ready to flank around and deal with this lieutenant. And now Jimothy gets to go. I kind of want to use a rule, because I don't think I'm within 1 inch. What I will do is I'm going to vault over the terrain. We're going to be right in front of this lieutenant here, and we're just going to try and blow her away with this shotgun. The mechanic is called panic fire. Usually when you're playing the game, you're always trying to conserve your ammo, so you're not, dumping mags every time you shoot. But this is dumping mags, so I fire as normal, only at half of the weapon's range, in this case 6, obviously within 6, and you get to add an extra 2 shots. But you are out of ammo with that weapon for the rest of the battle. I don't think it's going to be much of a concern. It is shoot, pump, shoot, pump, shoot, pump, until this thing is gone. 3s to hit. Well, we got a hit. Would have been 2s because he's got a combat skill. Well, it's a shotgun, so 2. Don't roll a 1. Yes! We got the lieutenant. Boom! And that will be the end of our battle. Luckily, we have at least 2 members of the crew left, so this will be a win, and we hold the battlefield as one of the mechanics. We're able to go right to the postgame, and I haven't done it yet, obviously, so let's go learn it together. First things first, we have to see if we have a new rival in the form of the Cult of the Enlightened Eye, this criminal element cultist warband. With criminal elements, 2 things to note. If you held the field after beating them, there's a 50-50 chance they have an additional bounty on their heads, which will award 1 to 3 credits. I rolled that earlier. I'll roll that going forward now, but I rolled a 5. So they did not have a bounty on their heads. They do not award additional credits. You have to hold the field as well to achieve that. And to see if they're rivals, you roll a d6. On a roll of a 1, they become rivals. Other than criminal elements, you roll 2d6, and if either die is a 1, then they become criminal elements. And if you roll both as 1s, they hate you, and you're a rival. Every time you encounter them, there will be an additional enemy. For cultists, that'll be 3 more instead of just 2 more. Let's get those dice ready. Oh, I rolled like a fool there. Anyways, I got a 4 and a 1. Welcome to my first rival in the campaign, the Cult of the Enlightened Eye. That means in future campaign turns, before going on like a job for a patron or trying to follow up on a quest, they have a chance just to intervene and force me to encounter them again. Though I always have the option to pursue them and just take them out. You can go on missions to hunt down the Cult of the Enlightened Eye, to essentially send a permanent message, making it so they do not wish to encounter you anymore, as life on the fringes of space can be pretty nasty. Well, that'll be fun later. We're not going to worry or question the mutation on this lieutenant. That is a problem for people with a higher pay grade. We were simply here to just secure the area and check it out. We're not worried about that. The next step is resolve patron status. This is essentially if you found a new patron and you finish the mission for them, they will become a permanent contact that you can rely on. It effectively helps you when looking for work with patrons. It's a further one modifier that you've seen earlier in the campaign. But this case, I was working for a patron that I already knew, so don't have to worry about that. The next step is to determine quest progress. Again, don't have to worry about that. That'll be maybe next game. Now it's time to get paid. My favorite step. We're gonna roll 1d6 credits. That represents being paid by the corporation in addition to whatever we are able to salvage from the location and from the bodies of our slain foes. Now, since we won the mission and completed the objective, well, we won the mission by completing our objective. There are other ways to win missions, yet still fail objectives. You can re-roll, or simply you treat results of 1 or 2 as 3. This is in addition to the danger pay of 1 credit working for my buddy here. So we're gonna get 5 credits for that, not bad. In addition to connections. So my friend liked that we completed the job so much, he will gift us rumors. Now we already have a quest, so that will be 1 additional quest rumor. That's gonna bring us from 4 to 9 credits. I'll probably consider paying off the debt on the ship a little bit next campaign phase. You know, would still love to have the option to leave Karsa 2 if things get a little too hot for me here. Getting that quest rumor reminds me that cultists have a special feature on them. Pretty much like how criminal elements are more likely to become rivals as you go to the subsect of criminal elements, and this is true for all of the other enemies you can encounter in 5 Parsecs. They'll have a special trait as well. If you are able to beat them in combat, you may gain extra intrigue and learn a thing or two from them, as they might have notes on them, or if you interrogate any survivors, they may give you some information. It's called Intrigue. I roll 2d6, adding 1 to the result if I was able to slay or capture any lieutenants. In this case, I did. Adding 1. If I roll a 9 or more, I get a further quest rumor. Hey, look, I got it naturally. So that is another quest rumor for beating cultists. They had some information that was pertinent for me. Thank you, lads. I appreciate it. Now, we were able to find some extra credits from the looted bodies on the battlefield, and now we actually get to see if there's any larger physical finds. We're going to roll a D100 on a chart. Again, yellows are 10s. 81. Nice. One of those lieutenants had vital information on them that seems to be important for another corporation that we heard about while coming to Karsa 2. What this means is we could automatically turn it in to acquire a new and different corporation patron that might offer more danger pay. The next step, not relevant right now, but a fun one. It essentially forces you to move around the galaxy. It's check for invasion. There's a chance when you're sent on a job or a quest that you'll uncover operatives that plan on invading the planet. And there's a chance that you can kind of catch wind of it early and get out of here before things get a little too hot. Or there's other options as well. In this case, that was not an invasion enemy I came across. It's a simple cultist group. No worries there. One of the final steps is the loot table. Just further looting, representing things you might have found, again, on the bodies of the slain foes, or on your way here or on the way back to your ship. It's essentially a way just to give your crew more items and things you can bring back, just to kind of keep your credits up and your items up. You better believe that this is a D100 table. That is 26, which is going to be a damaged weapon table. So you're going to roll twice on the weapon category subtable, but both items are unfortunately going to require repairs. There were several more rolls there to resolve. I figured I'd skip them all to let you know what I found immediately. One was a damaged dueling pistol and a damaged power claw in effectively just a stash somewhere on the way back home. I'll try and get them repaired and probably give that power claw to Percival if he survives. Now for the sad stuff. We have to roll on the bot injury table for Percival, arms, and legs. All of our robots went down in this battle. This is only 4 characters that were taken out by actually losing their wound. If you were knocked out by being stunned, you don't have to roll on the table. We're going to start with arms here. It's a D100. We want to roll high. The lower you roll, the worse the result. And arms is going to get a 98. Oh, yes, yes. It's just a few dents. No long-term effects. They're able to be hammered out by the time we bring them back to the ship. Easy repairs that anyone can do. Let's see what happens to legs here. 56. That is minor damage that will require some time to repair. He'll be stuck on the ship for effectively the next campaign turn. And for Percival here, I hope nothing too bad happens. Please, please, please live. You're so cool. 61? Okay, that's the same thing as legs. Not too bad. He will spend around in the sick bay, the engineering bay, or some bay in the ship being repaired by someone we hire from the planet. But it won't cost enough credits to actually hit our credit bay. All right, Percival, I like it. Bots need to roll like a 66 plus for just a few dents. Obviously, the non-bot components of the crew are a lot more susceptible to damage. Now we divvy out experience. Bots cannot gain experience, but you can spend credits equal to the experience required to upgrade their characteristics, representing additional modules you purchase for them, or just simply better parts than they had. Better legs, better arms, better CPUs, all that stuff. Any character that flees the battlefield in the first 2 rounds gains no experience. I wanted to point that out for anyone who is curious, because I mentioned that during the game. However, anyone who survived and won, which is pretty much all of the crew members other than the bots, will gain 3 experience. The next one to look for is whoever inflicted the first casualty. Unfortunately, I think Arms did that by shooting someone with his colony rifle, which means that no one's going to get that experience. And then if you destroy a unique individual, you get 1. If it's on easy mode, you get more. And then you get a little bit more if you complete the final stage of a quest. In this case, Meredith, Jimothy, and the Precursor will all gain 3 experience. Now, to give you a frame of reference to what I can purchase with that, the cheapest characteristic to upgrade is Speed and Savvy, at a cost of 5 per upgrade. So it's going to take a little bit more, though Jimothy did start the campaign with 1 additional experience, so he'll be at 4. It's just one of his motivation upgrades he got. He's ambitious. Ooh, actually that motivation gave him a 2 extra experience. I could spend 5 of it right now to give him speed or savvy, but I think I want to hold on to it to give him toughness or combat skill, which costs 6 or 7. But that might be after the next game. You can also buy luck for other characters, increasing your own luck as well. Humans can go up to 3 luck, everything else is stuck at 1 luck, but luck costs 10. Luck is effectively a wound that lets you keep fighting. Luck is very powerful if you can purchase it. Another thing to consider, if your character suffers some extreme injury or death in the after game sequence, and they even use luck to try and prevent it earlier on, they will not die instead and permanently lose a luck, but you can always purchase more. Even though I have 9 credits, I do not want to spend any of them to upgrade the modules on the bots. I think I need my money for the next campaign phase. The next step I'm not going to do, but I did want to mention it because it's a big part of the campaign. I'm not going to do it because I can't afford it. But you can have members of your crew specialize in elements of the campaign and essentially purchase courses for them to learn. Now, you don't go to school like we fundamentally know it. You essentially pay for a course. You roll to see if you're accepted in the course. And, you pay 1 credit to see if you're accepted. And then if you are accepted, you pay the course fee, which is usually 15 to 20 credits. But you can spend the difference in experience as well. So say something costs 20 credits and you only have 5, but you have 15 extra experience on that character. You can go through the course and finish it, which will immediately apply its effects because they essentially download it into your brain through neuro chips and things like that, in so few words. But you could do things like pilot training to make using the ship easier. You could become a doctor so that you can help your other crew members out, or an engineer, things like that. You guys get the idea. I'll be doing that later on. I can't afford that right now. Some last steps is campaign events. These are major things that will adjust how the campaign's going to play. I got a 17. You managed to mouth off to the wrong people at some point. This is like effectively back in the city, back on the ship, we're out at the bar or something. We have found a rival. It is kind of unknown, but we have one. I suppose we'll figure out who they are when they decide to show themselves. The next step is character events. This helps you elaborate on certain individuals in your crew and their stories. This is not relevant for soulless or bot characters, only for actual crew and precursors. Because they have such a long life, their events can be a little more elaborate. You have to roll twice on the table. You get more control over it. You get to pick which one you want. Now, either randomize 1, 2, 3, who it's going to be. It's going to be, I'll re-roll, it's not flat. 1, 2, so that's Jimothy. Okay. This is Luka's favorite game on the Citadel. More D100s. 95. All right. A deep feeling of melancholy and despair is afflicting Jimothy. The character will earn no experience next campaign turn. Cool. I do have story points. So story points are something you get at the start of a campaign, and they allow you to ignore or re-roll certain elements in the campaign, such as character events. My story points let you actually do a lot more than I thought they did. So I'm starting with 6. I have 6 in my entire campaign. I probably should have said that a little bit earlier. If I didn't, my bad. But I have 5 remaining. Actually, I could have used one before I do this roll and roll twice and let me pick. But now I'm going to re-roll and I must accept the new result. I didn't like 95. Is 83 any better? Well, if that isn't just like infinitely better, maybe Jimothy is leading a charmed existence. He just gains an extra luck. Now, he is a human, so he can actually have up to 3 luck. That's huge. Now that's it. That's our 14-step post-game sequence done. Again, not all the steps are relevant, so I did skip like 3 or 4 of them because they're more for more deeper campaign events. But we're gonna get there eventually one day together. That will conclude our first episode of 5 Parsecs from Home. Again, a big thank you to Modifius for sponsoring us to make this campaign for you guys at home to watch. This is honestly such a pleasure. This game was like made for me, and anyone watching at least all the way through this probably very long initial video is at least a little interested in the game. So I please implore you to go check the description down below, maybe contact a friend or spread the information of the game around. Like, a lot of people know about it, but I think a lot more should know. And again, it emulates a video game quite well, except it does take a lot more work. But if you're kind of tired of playing video games and you want to try something else that might scratch that itch, 5 Parsecs from Home might be it. There will be many more episodes to come. I will be doing an entire campaign. I have no idea how long these will last. It could suddenly end. It could go on for 100 episodes. It's really up to the dice, isn't it? They will be shorter episodes because I won't be going through the entire explanation process and crew generation. It'll be more campaign phase, battle, post-game sequence, finished. So at least look forward to them being a little bit shorter and concise. Again, I have a problem with elaborating a little too far. I'm again doing it right now. So I'm just going to end the video right there. There will be more to come. Happy wargaming, everyone. And I couldn't be more excited.